Welcome to Freedom Forest, guys, the 3-acre edible oasis that we're creating here in the south of England, where we like to try lots of new things and push the boundaries with what we can grow using permaculture and no-dig methods. Absolutely no chemicals, weed killers or synthetic fertilisers, just what nature provides. Hi folks, and thanks for joining us here again at Freedom Forest. For today's video, I wanted to share with you some of the things that we've been learning about how to extend our growing season. And obviously by extending our growing season, that means that we can be producing more food for ourselves and for other people for even longer. Now, with the climate that we have here in the south of England, it does limit us a little bit to a set growing season, but there are ways that you can help get a longer growing season. And I am, of course, starting off in one of our polytunnels. And I know that not everybody can have polytunnels of this size, but even in just a small polytunnel or glasshouse, greenhouse, or even a conservatory, there are many things that you can do that will help extend your growing season. So obviously having these polytunnels is a huge blessing for us, and it really helps to just eke out the season a little bit longer. At the beginning of the season, we can be putting things in the ground just that little bit sooner than you can outside. And at this end of the season today, which is the 29th of October, it's also meaning that we can keep things in the ground that wouldn't normally be doing very well outside anymore. And the other thing that we're trialing for the first time this year, which so far is going incredibly well, is growing winter salads. And as you can see, we've got this beautiful run of winter salads all along the middle of this bed. And this is where I just took the tomatoes out from at the beginning of October, beginning to middle of October, and I did have the salad plugs ready to go from a September planting, and I got them straight in the ground. Now this October has been unusually warm as well, really mild for us here in the south, but as you can see, these salads are looking amazing. Now obviously their growth will slow as the days get shorter and the temperature drops, but we will still get several harvests off of these. I believe possibly right through till April if we're lucky. And these seeds, these were sown as seeds on the 13th of September, but like I say, planted out just as soon as I stripped the tomatoes around early to mid October. So this is a really great example of how we are getting more crops from using this space, more growth, more goodness, and most importantly, more fresh greens throughout the winter. And we've got a few other things in here that we're trialing. This is a leafing celery. So we're going to see how that goes through the winter, because I wouldn't normally expect that to grow outside. And this little gap I've got here is where we had just taken, I did have 2 tomato plants just left here hanging on in there. They only came out a couple of days ago, and they still had tomatoes that were ripening off on them. Slowly of course, but still ripening. And then I've got some herbs ready to go that I'm going to plant up this area with as well. And I've got those in plugs already. Some more lettuces and something called Celtis. This one in the middle is something we're trying for the first time this year, and this grows like lettuce but on a big stem. I think maybe referred to slightly like celery, the stem, and I think the stem is edible also. Like I say, this is a first for us. We heard about it off of Hugh Richards on his gardening channel, really like the sound of it, so we're giving that a try. And then there's some spinach and some baby cows that we're going to keep for salads. And then loads of other things going on in here, still growing really strong, like these nasturtiums, which I can use both the flowers and the leaves to create beautiful fresh salad bags further into the season than you would normally be able to. Now I'll just hop over here. Now, one of the things we struggled with this year a little bit were our peppers, both hot and sweet peppers. And they just were really, really slow for some reason at the beginning of the season. I think perhaps I sowed them a little later than you can. And I honestly didn't think that I was going to get any ripe sweet peppers at all this year. But as you can see, just over the last couple of weeks, these beautiful yellow peppers have still been ripening off with the lovely mild weather we've had, and because of the fact that they are here undercover in this polytunnel with just a little bit more warmth. And look, there's still more ripening off down here. And even this one, look, it's only just going, this lovely big pepper here. That one is still going yellow. So all is not lost thanks to the extra warmth that the undercover growing gives. Another thing that we grow in this polytunnel, because it enables us to grow it as a perennial crop, are these amazing Cape gooseberries. Now, as you can see, these Cape gooseberries will take over if you give them the opportunity. And I do often have to get in here and give them a little prune back to keep them where we want them. But now this one has grown extra crazy over here, but if I have a little rummage around here, you'll see that when the fruits are ripe, they have these lovely little dry lantern fruits on them. We'll just open up one of those. And these are the most incredible fruit to have once everything else is just finishing for the year. And they always start around October time, and they fruit and crop prolifically, we've found in the polytunnels here. If you haven't seen any of our other polytunnel videos from back earlier in the year, you might not know, but these plants here we have had for about, I think this is their third or fourth growing season. And we reconfigured this polytunnel at the beginning of this season, and these Cape gooseberries were growing literally where the path is along here. And we dug them up, we root pruned them, and we planted them back. And you can see they are still growing amazingly vigorously. And I wasn't sure if we would get fruit this year because of the transplant. But as you can see, we are getting loads of fruit from them already, which is awesome. In here as well, we've also still got a couple of watermelons hanging in there. We probably do need to get on and harvest them. But again, I don't think we'd been able to leave them in the ground outside. These cucamelons have kept going. Now they do need to come out now. They are definitely past their best, but we've still been cropping these quite well up until about 2 weeks ago, when now it is definitely time to cut these vines back. We've also still got some aubergines. Now they are growing and ripening a lot slower, but I'm pretty sure that if these plants were outside, they would not be producing fruit and ripening anymore. So all these things just really make having these polytunnels such a valuable growing space for us. As I said earlier, chilies and peppers I really struggled with this year. Out of about 6 or so km pepper plants, this is the only one that made it through. And earlier in the season, I didn't know if we were going to get a harvest off here. But as you can see now, it is covered in these beautiful ripening red chilies that I'm very shortly going to harvest. All thanks to the growing extension of the polytunnel. This is another example here, New Zealand spinach. Now this is still growing outside at the moment. I have it still outside, but again, it is not as prolific as this in here. Normally when the frosts come, the New Zealand spinach will die back, but I'm hoping and I'm wondering as another trial that it might in fact stay here all through the winter, depending on how hard the winter is. So yeah, so that is what's going on in our polytunnel. We've still got some jalapenos over here that we're still harvesting from. All of these wonderful things at the end of October that we are still getting to enjoy. And you can do this as well on a small scale. It doesn't have to be a big tunnel like this one. If you just have a small, regular garden-sized greenhouse or polytunnel, if you set the beds up and the area up with a little bit of thought, then you would still be able to grow salad for yourself and some extra greens that grow slower through the winter and enjoy extra lovely fresh food. Obviously, also another bonus in here is the wood chip mulch that we have down on the ground, and that really helps too. And I'm just going to take you outside to one of our other growing beds and talk a little bit more about that. We're in growing zone 9A here, and the lowest temperature that we get in the winter is about -5, and we don't tend to get that for terribly prolonged periods, but we can sometimes get a week or so of it, usually in February, right at the end of the winter. So one of the other methods that we use to increase our soil temperature through the winter is by mulching heavily with wood chip. Or you could do this just with compost, but we have certainly found that some plants respond better to having the wood chip mulch. And a great example of this is our Yacon plants. As you can see, they are growing beautifully and looking lush right now, and it won't be long until we start to get our first harvests from these, which is always a really exciting time, because if you have been following our channel for any amount of time, you will know that we love our Yacon here. So what we do with these Yacon isn't so much about as they are growing, but how we overwinter the plants. Now we are right on the cusp here of being able to leave these plants in the ground. -5 is in fact the lowest temperature that their growing tips or rhizomes will withstand. So what we do is we harvest the Yacon and we replant the growing tips or rhizomes straight away. So we use this plant like a replant perennial. And how we ensure that they make it through the winter is then by adding a really good wood chip mulch to the places where we've replanted. And as you can see, it works wonderfully, because last February we did have quite a cold spell for about 10 days or so, but pretty much all of our plants that we replanted have made it through, and they've grown on really lush and strong. So there's lots of little things that you can do to just help increase your growing season or to keep your soil warmer, and certainly mulching with anything you can get your hands on, but in our experience wood chip is a really good thing to try. It's going to be of great benefit to your plants in terms of moisture in the summer, feeding them as it breaks down and keeping them snuggled up during the winter. So I just wanted to share those things with you today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this quick video of seeing how we are extending our growing season here. We hope to catch you here again soon. Don't forget to like, comment on our videos with any questions that you have. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. Click the bell so you get notifications every time we bring out a new video if you like what we do. And also share our videos with your friends and other people that will appreciate them, because this really helps our channel to grow and helps more wonderful gardening people like you get to see our videos. We'll catch you here again soon. Peace and plants.